And here we go.
Sports!
I listen to you guys all the time.
It's awesome.
I'm in the mood for one of your classic anecdotes.
Give yourselves a round of applause. All right, that's enough. Yeah.
Hey guys, there is someone I want you to meet.
Dave Hooker Show with Caleb Calhoun on Off the Hook Sports, represented by T. Scott Jones, banksandjones.com, Tennessee's trial attorney from the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln Studio. He's Tennessee's #1 volume and service dealer. Ted Russell Ford and TedRussellLincoln.net.
Look, we're all part of the same team here.
Now to the Dave Hooker Show on Off the Hook Sports.
Here we go. It is SEC Media Days as live from Atlanta, Georgia. It will be this week as the Vols will visit with the media tomorrow. Caleb, who do we have on the docket today? A big show on tap as Tennessee picks up a new commitment over the weekend, some roster moves as well. So a lot to get to. Please click that thumbs up button. Go ahead and do it now. Get it out of the way. You don't have to worry about it later. See, it makes a lot of sense. For some reason, I did my Seinfeld voice. Caleb Calhoun, how are you, sir?
I am good. We got some fun today. They got Brian Kelly and Lane Kiffin to kick off SEC Media Days as the top two coaches. That's going to be some fun for anybody involved.
Should be some fun. Suddenly, who would have ever guessed this is what year for Brian Kelly? Year 3?
4.
Year 4 that Brian Kelly would be on the hot seat, I guess somewhat, not hot, but somewhat hot seat. And Lane Kiffin might just be, other than Kirby Smart, the most suited, most cemented into his current head coaching job of any SEC head coach. Am I far off there?
I mean, that's crazy to think about, but I think you're right. Lane Kiffin, the only one who might be as cemented is Eli Drinkwitz, because whatever you feel about him, he's taken Missouri 11-2, 10-3 back-to-back years. That they are very happy with that.
Okay, it is funny you say that. Do you not get the feeling though that Eli, and this is looking forward, could have a couple of Bobo seasons and be right back on the hot seat? I
do. The question is how much mediocrity is Missouri willing to tolerate? Because they have a higher threshold for mediocrity than a lot of other schools, put it that way. So I think they're willing to tolerate a lot more than other.
But they are very proud of their journalism department. We do know that.
One of the reasons that they have trouble winning is because journalism guys, for those who don't know, Missouri takes so much pride in it. They go out of their way to never cheerlead the program. Now, look, there's some other places, this, Dave, like the LSU media has a bad history of just cheerleading LSU no matter what, right? And
yeah, but I haven't been around another school that I thought was cheerleaders.
But what I mean is that what you're supposed to do is cheerlead the program when it does things right and criticize the program when it does things wrong. Missouri, if you guys have ever been in Columbia and that media circuit there, they take so much pride in being journalists. They are like, we are going to criticize Missouri sports no matter what they do, no matter how successful they are. And man, it's a bad environment if you're an athlete at that school because of that.
I could see that. I think that Tennessee, given the fact that it's a bigger market, is pretty critical of its sports teams too. I haven't come across many homers in my day. So we'll get to the message board. A lot going on the program today, as if you want to tease it forward, Tennessee picks up a commitment. What do you got there, Caleb?
Yeah, JB Shabazz out of North Carolina. This one's going to be a fun one because of the way he committed. It's kind of a thing that some kids do coming out of high school. I'm never a fan of it. I know some Tennessee fans love it, but I never like when kids take a shot at another school before they commit to their school. I just don't think that's necessary. And I don't know. I never like that when a kid does it. So, but
I'm not a fan of it because I've seen it firsthand. I've seen the recruiters, their whole families get on the edge of their seat. I'm talking about the recruiters' families, the college coaches' families get on the edge of their seat and they're expecting something to happen and then nothing happens, which is, needless to say, disappointing. So we'll do the comparison. We started this series a couple of weeks ago. Josh Heupel or Steve Sarkisian, you're an athletic director. Who are you want to hire? That'll be today's tough question, brought to you by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney, banksandjones.com. Also, a lot of weight changes for the Vols, and I think they're obviously all positive. Nobody puts on 30 pounds of fat in the offseason and says, hey, look at me, everybody. This day in Tennessee sports history is brought to you by Sports Treasures. We'll talk about Tennessee's commitment. Also, Bank on It, brought to you by Commercial Bank. Lane Kiffin has it out for the Auburn job. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that's the case. Stat of the day brought to you by Newbert Collision Center. We'll tell you more about them as we move along. What the H? Brought to you by Rick Terry and Rick Terry Jewelry Design. So let's go ahead and get it started. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. I want to remind you to hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't to this point. Guys, whether or not you think so, whether or not it takes a kickoff to get you properly excited, this is football time in Tennessee. It begins now. SEC Media Days. Now, typically you have a week off, which I assume you do this year, in between SEC Media Days and the opening week of preseason camp, which I hate to see. I liked it when they just came back and it was ready to go. But you'll have a week off, but this is it. And there will be a lot of news coming out of Atlanta. We'll have you completely covered. Today's tough question brought to you by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney. It is banksandjones.com. So let's go ahead and dig into our topic du jour. As Caleb, today's tough question brought to you by Banks & Jones is one that we continue from a series, and that is this. You have two coaches to choose from. You go with Josh Heupel or Steve Sarkisian. So we've been doing this ongoing series of, if you're an AD, which coach are you hiring? Because I think it's really interesting that no school in the SEC other than Georgia would make the strong argument that behind closed doors, there's no question we have the second best coach in the SEC. No question he's an elite coach. There's questions about every coach except for Kirby Smart. So, Caleb, let me ask you, would you prefer to make the argument for Josh Heupel to begin or Steve Sarkisian to begin? It is today's tough question brought to you by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney, banksandjones.com.
Today's tough question. Boom. You heard that. Now take it. The Dave Hooker Show with Caleb Calhoun. Represented by T. Scott Jones, banksandjones.com, Tennessee's trial attorney. From the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln Studio, East Tennessee's #1 volume and customer service dealer, Ted Russell Ford and TedRussellLincoln.net. Now to the Dave Hooker Show on Off the Hook Sports.
All right, Caleb. So give us a rundown of who we've hit on so far. We've gone Lane Kiffin. What other coaches have we compared Josh Heupel to if we're an athletic director looking to make a hire one day?
Yeah, we've gone Lane Kiffin, we've gone Brian Kelly, and we've gone Kalen DeBoer to this point.
And where do we stand on those? Do you recall?
We both agreed that you're taking Josh Heupel over Brian Kelly and Lane Kiffin. Brian Kelly, because I think Brian Kelly I think largely for both of those, we believe Josh Heupel establishes a better culture than those two. Now, Kalen DeBoer, I think we were split. I leaned to Kalen DeBoer. I think you might have too, actually, because I believe in Kalen DeBoer a lot more than a lot of people in Alabama do right now. And I know that's controversial, but I still maintain that what Kalen DeBoer did last year with Jalen Milroe was nothing short of a miracle, because Jalen Milroe could not fit that system whatsoever. I mean, it's like trying to run a triple option with Peyton Manning as your quarterback. And that's what Kalen DeBoer was trying to do last year with Jalen Milroe in his system.
Okay. So I would take Josh Heupel over Kalen DeBoer. I would take Josh Heupel over Lane Kiffin. And who was the third that we had?
Brian Kelly.
I would take him over Brian Kelly. I would. I think that Notre Dame team was put together by boosters, even though that wasn't NIL ready at the time. And I think they made it, but they were still woefully short of playing with a team as good as Alabama. So today, who's our matchup?
We got Josh Heupel versus Steve Sarkisian. And
Can I give you this just on the front end, and then you set us up? At this point, it's a total coin flip because I know about Steve Sarkisian's issues off the field because they were reported. Otherwise, I didn't cover Southern California closely at the time. I probably wouldn't have known. I know of some of Lane Kiffin's malfeasance off the field, and if you live in Knoxville, or you're on message boards, you probably know a lot of them as well. Now, not everything on message boards or in gossip mills is true. However, some of it's true. I can tell you firsthand. And some of it is something that, let's just say, that you wouldn't want your daughter's husband doing. Nothing terrible. Now, if you don't want to believe any of that and it hasn't been reported, and that's fair, I think there is no question that there's something analogous in terms of bad stuff. Like, you're not hurting anyone if you show up drunk to the special teams meeting on Sunday morning. You're Steve Sarkisian, which he did. Okay, you're not technically hurting anyone if you get in a car wreck with a couple of co-eds and you get out of it, or you have a house in West Knoxville that houses a couple of co-eds and you're married. I mean, technically, is that wrong? Yes. But does it hurt anybody? Not really, I guess. Well, it hurts Layla. But anyway, maybe they were okay with that. That was the rumor as well. But anyway, we're talking about gossip. But let's talk about the one thing that we do know. The two comparisons that we do know. And one is just against the coach's creed. And I don't care what you say, it's a dastardly thing to do. And I would argue what Lane did was as bad from just a purely professional football standpoint as showing up to a special teams meeting hammered at Sunday in the morning at 8 o'clock, which is still a little bit odd. But it's today's tough question. I'm going to tell you what it is. Brought to you by Bank. Do you know what it is, Caleb? Do you know what I'm hinting at?
Well, I mean, we're comparing Josh Heupel to Steve Sarkisian, but I get your point bringing in the Lane Kiffin issues. But today's tough question is just simple: is Josh Heupel or Steve Sarkisian the better coach?
Right. All right. Let's do that right now. The Lane Kiffin thing, by the way, was taking away prospects. So I think that was pretty dastardly, and that's one of the things we referenced. So one of the things you don't have to deal with is Josh Heupel in terms of personality issues, in terms of moral issues. I mean, to this point, there has been no issue of that. Today's tough question: you're an athletic director. Do you take Steve Sarkisian or Josh Heupel? Today's tough question brought to you by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney, banksandjones.com.
Why Banks & Jones? Well, it's because they're Tennessee's trial attorney. You can play to win with Banks & Jones because they'll go to trial. You've heard of other lawyers. They say they'll go to trial and fight for you. They won't. They just want to settle. That's the easiest way out. Well, that's not Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones. They won't settle. They'll go to trial for you. Tennessee's trial attorney. They play to win. Truly, Tennessee's trial attorney when it comes to criminal defense or personal injury. Why settle? It's Banks & Jones. T. Scott Jones. banksandjones.com.
All right, Caleb, here is why I would take Heupel over both Lane and Sarkisian. But let's focus on Sarkisian. What I was going to say with Lane is there was the trying to take midterm prospects to Southern California. Obviously, with Sarkisian, there was the alcohol problem at Southern California. We haven't had any sort of issue, off-field issue with Josh Heupel, and he doesn't seem like the type of dude that would have an off-field issue. He's not loud, outspoken, or anything like that. And, next thing I know, he'll be O.J. Simpson and a double murder. I don't know, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I think with Josh Heupel compared to Steve Sarkisian, you don't have that concern about a potential relapse of alcohol abuse. But I will take it a step further. I think that Josh Heupel is a coach that gets more out of less than Steve Sarkisian. Now, Arch Manning may prove to be the better recruiter. Steve Sarkisian got Arch Manning. He may prove to be the better recruiter. Steve Sarkisian may prove to be the better recruiter head to toe. But I don't think we'll know that because it's Texas.
By the way, I'm sitting there eating some wings, and I see Arch Manning on a commercial, a national commercial for a brand of shorts called Bioris. Have you heard of them, Caleb?
Nope.
Neither have I. They're fashion shorts that you and I will never want to afford, even if we could, because we're not going to spend $60, $70 on a pair of shorts. But that just tells you that Texas can make a type of phone call to get on an NIL deal that Tennessee probably can't, correct?
Correct.
So I thought that was a pretty big advantage recruiting for that UT and not the UT that we're used to talking about. So I got to be honest. I would take Josh Heupel over Steve Sarkisian. I think they're very similar. I think it's just an edge. But I think that in terms of NIL and grabbing Arch Manning, Sarkeesian had an advantage over Tennessee that got Nico Iamaleava. And as far as an X's and O's coach, I like Heupel a little bit better. As far as a program builder, I would have to give Heupel the advantage. I think that Texas is the only real national championship contender in the SEC this year, but he's at Texas. That helps. Southern California, he didn't build a program because he was hitting on Boozy a little bit. So, Caleb, I got to go Josh Heupel, and the more I hash it out in my mind, it's not close. Can we make it the poll question as well, please?
Yeah, we'll set that up in a second. I totally agree, and I'll take it a step further. So I want to compare their resumes real quick with me getting started. So Steve Sarkisian took over at Washington for Ty Willingham. They were an 0-12 team, as you remember, and he immediately turned them around, went 5-7 to his credit, then went 7-6, 7-6, 7-6, 8-4. Now, you may be impressed by that. A lot of people will, because he took over a complete dumpster fire. But given what we've seen at Washington since with Chris Peterson and Kalen DeBoer, you should be able to do better than 8-4. Your best year at Washington is capable of being better than 8-4 in 5 years there. I don't care how bad it was when you took over. He was at USC, went 9-4 his first year, was 3-2 before he got fired in 2015. And let's not forget, he was 5-7 and then 8-5 his first 2 years at Texas. Yes, he went 12-2 his last year in the Big 12. Last year, they went to the playoff by being handed the easiest schedule of all time in the SEC from Greg Sankey. So he should be thanking Greg Sankey for that. I am going to say that between the two, I think Steve Sarkisian develops you better for the NFL because he runs a pro-style offense. You know, it's the USC offense that, ironically, we talked about Lane Kiffin ran in the mid-2000s that was so successful. But I do think in terms of actual production on the field, if I'm hiring a coach, I'm with you. I would hire Josh Heupel, and I got to be honest, I don't really think it's close. I don't think there's any. I mean, given what Josh Heupel's done at Tennessee, I mean, just compare what he's done at Tennessee to what Sark did at Washington, because those were kind of parallel jobs when they both took over. And Heupel turned Tennessee around a lot faster and has the last 3 years at Tennessee, Heupel has had, because he's been at Tennessee 4 years, Heupel's last 3 years at Tennessee were all better than any of Sark's years at Washington, either of his years at USC, any year he had at this until 2024, this past year. Every single Heupel season at Tennessee the last 3 years was better than every other season of Sark's career until this past year at Texas. So when I take that into account, yeah, I think Heupel is a significantly better coach than Sark. I think Sark is one of the most overrated coaches in all of college football. I don't think he's that good. I do think he develops talent well. And so I think he'll coach up Arch Manning for the NFL. But Dave, as you know, there's a difference between coaching players up and developing them and then actually doing proper X's and O's and scheming in a game. And I mean, we can talk about this in the 90s. I mean, Tennessee did a much better job of developing talent for the NFL than Florida. But Florida was way ahead of their league X's and O's wise than Tennessee during those years, which is why they always beat them.
Okay, so ask the question, today's tough question, would you take Steve Sarkisian or Josh Heupel? We understand our audience, pretty Tennessee lean, so I get that. Today at SEC Media Days, it'll be LSU, Ole Miss, South Carolina, and Vanderbilt. Tomorrow, it'll be Tennessee. Josh Heupel will be in attendance, as we know. Auburn, Georgia, Texas will be there as well. So it gives us a great comparison between Heupel and Sarkisian. The other thing that
I would note with Sarkeesian that kind of goes along the lines of what you're thinking. I believe most athletic directors like to hire offensive coaches for the most part. Would you agree with that?
I agree.
I think
It
ever
sells.
since, you know what? I think ever since Bill Walsh, to be real honest with you, I think that Tom Landry was the defensive minded coach and he only got him so far. And Chuck Noll was the defensive minded coach and he obviously had great success, but you're not going to repeat that. So you try to go in a different direction. We see this all the time at individual schools that will go from an offensive coach to a defensive minded coach to an offensive coach. And I think that happened in football to some extent over the past 50 years. I think people would prefer to hire offensive coaches. However, I think that athletic directors would like to hire offenses that they understand a little bit. That makes sense?
Yes,
I don't
totally
think
agree.
they completely understand Josh Heupel's offense. I don't think they understand the advantages of wide splits. I don't think they understood how important the tempo was from a lack of substitution. I just think that Danny White thought, oh, it's fast. It scores a lot. Whee! So I think you have to factor that in as well. I think Sarkeesian is more of a pro style coach. So I could make the argument, and then we'll check in on the poll question brought to you by Banks and Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney, banksandjones.com. I could make the argument that Josh Heupel is a better fit at Tennessee, where you've got to overachieve on talent a little bit, and Steve Sarkisian is a better fit at Texas, where you don't have to overachieve in terms of talent. You can play the old pro style that Bill Walsh ran in the 80s if you want to. Caleb, does that make sense?
No, that makes perfect sense. And I said that for a while. I think when you're at a place where you can load up on more talent, and there's maybe about 5 schools that are like that, that's where you want to run the pro style offense, because the pro style offense maximizes your team's ability to overwhelm other teams with its talent. If you're just a step below, and I've always said Tennessee is in that tier that's like kind of a step below, it's just not as easy to load up on talent at Tennessee as it is Texas, LSU, Ohio State, Georgia. I'd say Florida now, Miami. Not Miami since they're not in the SEC, but so they can't recruit the same. But those 5 schools, I think Tennessee's a little step below that. So I think you have to have some creativity, figure out some way to be ahead of the curve. And in some cases, that involves an offense that's a little trickier to figure out.
Yep. A couple of notes from the message board. One that I want to address particularly, 2 actually. I just wish Joey, referring to Joey Halsey, Tennessee's offensive coordinator, would just step back so Heupel doesn't have to bear this game prep burden. It's hurt the offensive mojo. Well, if he stepped back, he'd still have to handle it. How big of a problem is Joey Halsey, do you think? I mean, we don't know. It hasn't been long enough to truly judge, and we won't know unless Josh Heupel fires him, quite frankly.
Well, you tell me if this is what I'm about to say, if this is a problem, because you've covered a lot of coordinators. I don't think Joey Halsey is a problem per se. I just don't think he's an asset. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
It's Josh Heupel's offense, the base and the root, as somebody would say. The meat and potatoes of the dish has always been what Josh Heupel's doing. But the offensive coordinator was there to add a little seasoning. Alex Golesh, he would draw up maybe about 7 scripted plays in a game that were very creative, and you didn't know when he was going to drop them in. And I feel like Joey Halsey never does that. And those 7 plays can make a difference in any football game.
Yep. There we go. A couple of other notes. One that I wanted to, and that is that Sark cleaned up his act. Yeah, but we're acting like athletic directors. So I still think you have to factor that in at some point, that could be a potential issue. I mean, I'd like everybody to get a clean slate. I mean, goodness knows we've probably all needed a clean slate at times. I know I have. But by the same token, if you're a hiring agency, it's hard for that not to be in the back of your head. If you're an athletic director, and we're athletic director Caleb and athletic director Dave, we're co-athletic directors of the University of Awesomeness. And it's going to come up in the conversation, Caleb. He didn't just at 2:00 in the morning get a DUI in the offseason. He showed up to a special teams meeting hammered.
Yeah, he did.
At 9 in the morning.
And wasn't it after a loss?
I thought it was after a win. I don't know which one's more troubling, to be real honest with you.
Yeah, that's a good point. And then he got lit at some little pep rally or whatever. I would say, look, you got to factor that in. And also, I just think production-wise, if you look at their track records, Josh Heupel's just been more successful. It's that simple to me.
No, you're right. Maybe I dove a little bit too deep in it, but yeah, you're probably right. I think Josh Heupel runs the type of offense that would scare some athletic directors. Is
Totally
maybe
agree.
why he didn't get even more consideration before Tennessee. Remember, Tennessee felt like they were reaching a little bit to get him. If you remember at the time, it doesn't. I mean, he may not be a championship coach, but he definitely belongs, right?
Yes, totally agree. Totally on
I
your
will
side.
say this: if you had asked me 5 years ago, I wondered if either belonged. I think both belong now. Agreed?
100. Well, Stark belongs because he's at Texas, and it's very easy to win at Texas. And I think Stark, like you said, can run a certain system that'll develop talent to win at Texas. I'm not so sure Stark could do this at Tennessee, though.
Okay. So we'll see if he belongs. A lot of people can look like they belong at Texas. Hot or Cold brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning, cityheatandair.com. You're not going to believe some of these Vols who have gotten themselves in shape. Should I go into how much I've been working out in the offseason, Caleb, or do you think our listeners care?
How much you been working out, Dave? You want to take off your shirt? I'm kidding.
What's up? Come, you think you're a man? Come get me. That's my Ed Orgeron impression. One stands out in particular that I think is going to be a factor this year and that we haven't talked much about. Hot or Cold brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning, cityheatandair.com. And, of course, that's brought to you by our friends at Ted Russell Ford and Ted Russell Lincoln. When it comes to the buying experience, there's nothing like it. They're members of the community. They want you to drive off that lot happy, and they're East Tennessee's largest volume dealer. That means they've got the car you want. Ted Russell Ford, Ted Russell Lincoln on Parkside Drive and Kingston Pike.
A beacon of hope in a world of high prices. Look to the skies, Knoxville. Super savings is here. Ted Russell Ford is East Tennessee's #1 Volume Ford dealer. Employee pricing is here. You pay what we pay on all new Ford models. Come see the super dealer today at either Ted Russell Ford location, Parkside Drive, or Kingston Pike.
Caleb, so we're going to go hot or cold, brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning. That's cityheatandair.com, as we'll get some Paris Hilton from there. But let's start with Deshaun Bishop. Added 8 pounds. 8 pounds. Now, I'm only going to ask you if it's hot, brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning, cityheatandair.com, I'm only going to ask you if it's a big deal. In other words, there were some guys that probably gained 2 or 3 pounds. Arian Carter probably gained 2 pounds, but he didn't really have to have it. These are big deals. Deshaun Bishop added 8 pounds.
Yes. And yes, we were talking about roster updates and Tennessee players and the changes in their weight. And running back Deshaun Bishop has added indeed 8 pounds. He is now to 208 pounds, according to my understanding.
Where do you
Go ahead. Sorry, wrong one.
That's hot.
I'm with you. I'm on your side. I think actually adding 8 pounds as a running back is a big deal. Deshaun Bishop is a hard runner, and I thought he wasn't necessarily the most athletic. So I don't know if there's actually I don't think there's a lot of speed to lose there. So I think Deshaun Bishop, by putting on 8 pounds, allows him, and this is the big one, Dave, it allows him to be a lot more effective in pass pro, which was an issue for him last year. So I think Deshaun Bishop adding 8 pounds is actually kind of huge, honestly.
I hope you're right for Tennessee standpoint and the starting quarterback standpoint, but to me that looked like a neck up thing, pass pro. I hope I'm wrong, but you've got to want it and you've got to have the body. Now maybe one leads to another, but I hope you're right for the quarterback's standpoint, for Tennessee standpoint. I'm not so sure that he either gets it. And sometimes you can be timid because you're not sure where to go or who to block. But
And it was his first year really being an impactful player last year, too. You got to give him a break on that.
Absolutely. So if you're uncertain who to go after, you're going to look like you don't like pass pro. That's just a fact. All right. This next one is a little bit of a head scratcher to me. It's Lance Hurd losing 10 pounds. Hot or cold, brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning. Hot or cold?
Yeah. Lance Hurd losing 10 pounds. I mean, I think in a positive way, Dave, again, I think this is kind of a big deal. Remember, there was talk last year, particularly in the first half of the season when he had that sprained ankle, that he looked like he moved too slow. I think this was by design. Heupel likes his tackles to be a little slimmer. Now, he allowed Darnell Wright to be gigantic because Darnell Wright was a freak. Like, Darnell Wright could do backflips at 330 pounds. But for the most part, I think if Heupel has to choose between size or slenderness and speed, he's going for the speed at the tackle position because he wants to run his tempo. And the jobs of tackles more than anything is it's not necessarily to maintain blocks. It's to force edge rushers to a certain position so the quarterback can just get rid of the ball in time. And
remember this, they're isolated a lot because Tennessee likes to send their tight ends into downfield into the secondary to try to get open from a passing standpoint. So I can't remember the last time that I've seen one of Tennessee's offensive tackles helped by a tight end and a normal middle down and distance. So you better be athletic. You talked me into this one.
That's hot.
I actually thought that he may need a reconfiguring of weight, maybe lose 10 pounds of fat, add 10 pounds of muscle. But I'll roll with you on this one. What weight is he at now?
Lance Hurd now is officially at 330 pounds. He was at 340 last year, which I think is just too big to play tackle.
I agree. 340 is too heavy. I didn't realize he was that big. Jeremiah Hurd added 13 pounds.
Yes, Jeremiah Hurd is part of some people think is going to be the second part of the 2 deep depth chart, which you need in your offensive line. And he is now up to 333 pounds. I think that allows him to be a lot more of an effective player than he was last year. It's the reverse of Lance Hurd. They don't expect him to consistently run tempo, but they do want him to add on what he needs to add on. And so I do think that, I think Jeremiah Hurd is adding 13 pounds is actually, you know what? It's not a big deal. He's not going to play enough. I take it back. He's not going to play enough.
All right. Changing gears there.
I know immediately on the fly, but I thought about it and I'm like, I think he put on the weight. That's part of him just trying to develop, but I don't think he's going to develop enough to play this year.
The next guy had the biggest weight differential of anybody on the roster. Hot or cold, brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning at cityheatandair.com.
Hi, Mike Davis here with City Heating and Air, reminding you to always dare to compare. Our team provides quality local heating and air service, installation, and maintenance across East Tennessee. We use only the best equipment like American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning for your residential, new construction, or commercial needs. Honesty, dependability, and customer satisfaction have been the cornerstones of our business since 1961. City Heat and Air.
There's your man. Okay, so this next young man had a major change in his body. Bennett Warren lost 17 pounds. I wouldn't say
that's hot
because I can't believe we're talking about men losing. But anyway, and that's hot. But anyway, the bottom line is you lose 17 pounds, then you were told to lose 17 pounds. No football player accidentally loses 17 pounds in an off season. Maybe during the season, you'd be surprised how much how much weight these guys can lose during football season, but nobody's told to lose 17 pounds unless they needed to in the off season.
Yes, exactly. And particularly you're told that if there's a coaching staff that's very invested in you being successful, so they're going to spend more time on you specifically. Bennett Warren lost 17 pounds and I think is going to be the third tackle in this rotation with Larry Johnson gone. I think you're going to see Lance Hurd and David Sanders, and Bennett Warren will be the guy to step in for either of them now if one gets hurt or if one needs a break or whatever. And I think Bennett Warren is going to be your primary tackle off the bench now, honestly.
Brian Gant losing 12 pounds. That doesn't do a lot for me.
Brian Grant losing 12 pounds. Yes, he is down to 325 as well. I just don't think he's going to play a lot this year, so it doesn't really matter.
Now, one that I'd keep an eye on if he gained or lost, because I would assume the trainers and he are on board to do this, is David Hobbs losing 10 pounds. Again, you lose double-digit weight. They ask you to. I didn't think David Hobbs was heavy coming in. He's added some muscle. You could really, in 1 year of college football, be talking about, physically a 20-pound flip-flop, 10 pounds of added muscle, 10 pounds of lost fat. I mean, that's possible nowadays. So, it used to be back in the day when freshmen couldn't play, they'd strip you down, you'd lose as much weight and then add it back. But we all know now that you can do a little bit of both. Just look at me. But David Hobbs losing 10 pounds, I got a feeling he gained 10 pounds. I think it's pretty impressive.
Here's the thing. I think the problem with David Hobbs is they don't know how they want to use him yet. Do they want to use him as the Tyree West, Dominic Bailey type of end on the line in the 4-point stance, or do they want him to trim all the way down and become an edge rusher like James Pierce, Joshua, or Jordan Ross? Now, he'd have to lose a lot more weight for that. He's 290 pounds now.
He's not going to play. He's not going to play end.
Yeah, so I think that the 4-point stance is where they're at, but I think they're worried David Hobbs is a tweener. And I don't think he's going to get the experience this year anyway, because again, you got Tyree West, who's going to, I think, explode onto the scene this year. So I
think it'll be this year's Tyree West, which is play 12 snaps a game. It's pretty significant.
I mean, yeah, but the thing is, he's going to stay on the edge, and they still have Dominic Bailey and Tyree Weathersby. So I have a hard, unless David Hobbs plays in the middle, and I don't think he's playing in the middle now because he got down to 290. I think you want your defensive tackles to be at 300.
Yeah, I think he's going to be Josh Heupel's first slot inside guy. I let's say, for instance, it's 3rd and 12, but obviously passing down. I think he'll be a part of a package where he goes in and tackles.
Okay, I could see that.
That before. That's what Chuck Smith and the Vols were trying to do at LSU.
Man,
in a pass rushing package, and suddenly they sent 38 defensive linemen out on the field.
Are you sure it was only 38?
You're right. Let me go at 1, 2, 3. It's 500. Boo Carter added 5 pounds. I'm totally cool with this because I don't think Boo Carter has any sort of eating disorder. I think he gained 5 pounds because he needed to gain 5 pounds, and he is not the type of guy where it's going to affect his speed. So
That's hot.
I'm all about that. These skill position players that put on the 5 or 10, we saw Jalen Hyatt do that. I think we've seen Mike Matthews at some point. Maybe I'm wrong, but we see the skill position players put on weight and fill out. That's part of going from 17, 18 to 18, 19, right?
Oh, I totally agree. But you worry that that they hadn't done it yet sometimes with freshmen, or that they wouldn't. And so Boo Carter doing it, I put him on here for a reason. He's at 200 now. I think this will allow him to hit a little more in the secondary too, and also take a few hits as he becomes a Heisman candidate by, getting 500 yards of offense and 5 interceptions on defense.
There we go. Hit the like and subscribe button. Give us an update on the poll question brought to you by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney, banksandjones.com.
Who would you rather hire, Steve Sarkisian, Josh Heupel? 88% are saying Hype.
Obviously, we have a biased audience. So the fact that there's 10, 12% that think, what does that say? That think Sarkeesian. I mean, what does that say? Does that say that we've got some non-Tennessee fans in here, or does that say that people do respect Sarkeesian? Because you and I seem to be on the end of the no respect.
I will say it does indicate.
I will say it's Monday, guys. Sorry.
I'll say it does indicate a level of respect for Sarkeesian, because let's do it this way, Dave. Polling our audience on this, it's like when you poll, it's like when you poll Democrats on their approval of a Democratic president or Republicans on their approval of a Republican president. You expect that approval rating to be about 90%, right? And if it's below 90% in your own party, you're in some serious trouble, isn't it? It's that way, I think, with I think the fact that it's below 90% suggests that there's a little bit of respect for Sark.
Derek says Mosley was the greatest weight development player at Tennessee I've ever seen. That's according to Derek. Derek, which Mosley are we talking about here?
I'm talking about Emmanuel Mosley. I could see that. I mean, Emmanuel Mosley was, look, say what you want about Butch Jones. He found Emmanuel Mosley out of nowhere and made him great. He also found Antonio Brown out of nowhere, too.
Best and worst weight guys that transferred the most weight and became the best player. Go ahead and give us some thoughts on the message board on that. And General Ursa says, I'm a Tennessee fan and I voted Sark. Okay, well, cool. We like open honesty here. So hit that like and subscribe button. Fill in the poll question.
Worst weight guys, by the way, is that whole 2005 offensive line. They just got fat after 2004.
Well, we'll ask that question. Specifically, some players that are out there. I've got some insight as well. Again, we've got SEC Media Days coverage coming up throughout the program. Coming up on the show next, we will have we've got This Day in Tennessee Sports History, brought to you by Sports Treasures. Tennessee picks up a new commitment. It'll be 4 Downs, brought to you by Ted Russell Ford and Ted Russell Lincoln. Stay tuned. The show represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney, banksandjones.com, as we broadcast live from the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln Studios, East Tennessee's largest volume dealer. They have the car you want with Caleb Calhoun. I'm Dave Hooker.
Why Banks & Jones? Well, it's because they're Tennessee's trial attorney. You can play to win with Banks & Jones because they'll go to trial. You've heard of other lawyers. They say they'll go to trial and fight for you. They won't. They just want to settle. That's the easiest way out. Well, that's not Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones. They won't settle. They'll go to trial for you. Tennessee's trial attorney. They play to win. Truly, Tennessee's trial attorney when it comes to criminal defense or personal injury. Why settle? It's Banks & Jones. T. Scott Jones. banksandjones.com.
Now in its 45th year, the second and third generations continue Joe Newbert's commitment.
His vision of what this business needed to be, we still try to live up to that.
Joe Newbert Collision Center.
Community banking is about location and much more. It's about family. We reside in your community. We are a part of your community. At Commercial Bank, our commitment extends beyond the walls of our branches. It's displayed each day in the opportunities we provide, the money we give back, and the time we commit, all to help improve the lives of the people, families, and businesses that make our communities great. Commercial Bank, life made better.
Hi, Mike Davis here with City Heating and Air, reminding you to always dare to compare. Our team provides quality local heating and air service, installation, and maintenance across East Tennessee. We use only the best equipment like American Standard heating and air conditioning for your residential, new construction, or commercial needs. Honesty, dependability, and customer satisfaction have been the cornerstones of our business since 1961. City Heat and Air.
Dare to compare.
Are you ready to get strong? At NFC, we offer top-notch weight training and functional fitness, so you can build strength and improve your performance. Join today at nfc1.com or stop by any one of our 7 East Tennessee locations.
Frank, like the name, but serious or something. The Dave Hooker Show with Caleb Calhoun, represented by T. Scott Jones, banksandjones.com, Tennessee's trial attorney. From the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln Studio, East Tennessee's #1 volume and customer service dealer, Ted Russell Ford and TedRussellLincoln.net. Now to the Dave Hooker Show on Off the Hook Sports.
Can I be real frank with you? Something on Sarkeesian and Heupel?
Sure.
Sarkeesian's is kind of a more posh-looking, better-looking dude, isn't he?
Yeah, but you don't like the good-looking football coach, do you?
No, I don't. No. I fear the good-looking coach.
It's funny because, like, when Dooley was hired, so I forgot who said it, but it was like, if Hollywood was doing a movie on a SEC football coach, Derek Dooley would, like, be cast to play the part, wouldn't he?
What?
Like,
somebody's like Denzel Washington is like, I'm glad I didn't find that guy before Remember the Titans or whatever.
Yeah.
Fear the good-looking football coach. So if you like Sarkeesian just because he's a better-looking guy than Josh Heupel, maybe a little bit better put together than Josh Heupel, fear him. Because I've seen it on a high school level when I used to, and the News Sentinel used to have me cover some high school stuff, and I was really tied into high school. I cannot tell you the number of times that an athletic director at the at the high schools will go out and hire a better-looking coach, oftentimes an offensive coach, than a not-so-good-looking defensive coach. Fear them. Fear Lane Kiffin. That's a great example, isn't it? He's a good-looking guy, and he was uncomfortable at the press conference when he was introduced. He obviously didn't work out very well. Do we fear the good-looking football coach? Should we fear the good-looking football coach? Maybe that's a poll question. It's time for this day.
Do you want your football coach to be overweight or in shape?
Well, let's keep fat shaming out of it, Caleb. See, Caleb says that stuff because he's skinny. And he's a slim guy, and he's a good-looking guy, and he's in shape. But guys like me can say
You're
that.
skinny.
I'm not skinny. I'm fat.
You're not. Maybe you used to be, but you're not now.
Maybe I have body dysmorphia. Maybe I just look at myself in the mirror. I think, you're no good. It's this day in Tennessee sports history, and it is right now.
This day in Tennessee sports history.
It's cool, baby. It's cool.
Now you know, and knowing is half the battle. The Dave Hooker Show with Caleb Calhoun, Off the Hook Sports.
How many days until it's football time in Tennessee, Caleb? Do you know?
If I can do the math, August 14th is 31 days from now.
And it's what's the first day of the football season there?
Tennessee's first game is going to be August the 30th. Yeah, so we're talking 47 days. 47 days.
How many days till August 30th? 47. There you go.
Yep, 47.
All right, 47. Who wore 47? I'm just curious.
I don't know. I just know that there were 47 years between Tennessee's 51 and 98 national titles.
I thought you did that one. All right.
I did. That's for a stat of the day. That's not the one I'm doing today. This day is actually involves the number 50, funny enough. But
okay.
It's a happy birthday to one Jay Graham, who turned 50 today, officially.
That is not possible.
Yeah, Jay Graham turned 50. Jay Graham, for those who don't remember, he just got pushed down to third on the all-time single season rushing record list this past year because of what Dylan Sampson did. Dylan Sampson set the record. Travis Stevens was second in 2001, but Jay Graham was third in 1995. Jay Graham had the record for 6 years when he set the record in 1995. Most notable, back-to-back years, went for a 75-yard run to clinch the Alabama game in 1995, and then went 80 yards to beat them in 1996 when John Ward famously said, "Why not run it every play?"
Okay, so I got one for you. You ready?
Yep.
47. It's 47 days till it's football time in Tennessee. I'm gonna start doing these countdowns. 46 is Raynoch Thompson. Derek, thanks a lot for stealing my thunder. You know, good son of a. I'm kidding. That's a good one for tomorrow. Thank you. 47 would be whom?
Johnny Majors wore 45. Dylan's right. The Colquitt brothers, Britton and Dustin.
Right. So my favorite story involves a punter. Why did this bring it up? I don't know. But you can guess whether or not it was a Colquitt brother. You can guess whether or not it was perhaps one of the Colquitt brothers.
If it's involving a colorful character, I'm pretty sure which Colquitt brother it involves.
No. Don't say it. Don't say it. And I was at a party, and there's two couples standing around, me, the missus, and my best friend and the missus, and then another couple came up, and this other couple. This is right when Britton Colquitt had gotten in trouble there, and I didn't say who it is. I'm not saying it's Britton Colquitt.
I think you just did, but I think it would have been. We all could have figured that out, by the way.
Okay, and so she said, "Oh, I know him because he was in the paper." And she said, "Oh, I've met him," and then got quiet. And he looked at her. The boyfriend looks at her and like, "Well, how do you know him?" But he bumped into my car one time in my apartment parking lot. And so what happened? Well, he begged not to call the cops, said I could get in a lot of trouble, and maybe this punter had already been suspended for 4 games. Maybe, I don't know. Okay.
Wow.
Okay. So said I could get in a lot of trouble. Please don't tell on me or call the cops, please. Okay, fine. And while we're at it, would you like to go up to your apartment and hang out? And she did. And let's just say that she was willing to admit in front of a group of people she didn't know that he was able to,
Close the deal.
get shut eye, Caleb. I don't know what they did. They may have played Stratego. I don't know. They could have been up all night playing Risk. I don't know. If you believe they weren't playing Risk.
Well,
but so this
I guess
guy,
you could say she punted on calling the cops.
That's right. They worked on their center quarterback exchange. Okay, so in this particular instance, this guy got really upset and turned to her and turned to us and said, "You shouldn't be surprised. She's dated at least half the football team." And let's just say that we took I got coffee right now. I didn't have coffee at the time. We took our drinks and we turned and we walked away.
That's kind of awesome. That's kind of hilarious. I wonder if she pulled those don't count. That's the football team.
Now, Dylan, I got something for you. Dylan, post this. If you're that boyfriend, you turn and run fast. Except her dad was the president of one of the biggest boosters of University of Tennessee football. And immediately when he graduated at 22 years old, he was the VP of a company you would know making well over $150,000 a year. So let me ask you this question, Caleb. I don't know if your wife has any connections in the business world, but whether or not she did, you married her and you did a fantastic job. She's a lovely lady. But if you had to choose between getting that sort of gig and someone with, let's say, semi-loose morals, okay? But you're getting a $150,000 gig that's really not working. It's going to golf courses, hobnobbing all these different vendors. You can do that. Or you can
Maybe she's hobnobbing too. Okay, sorry.
Or you can marry someone that you're truly, truly in love with. Who would it be?
Well, I really wouldn't care about the loose morals past as long as you stayed faithful once we got together. I'm not one of those people. Your past is your past. However, it's not a good comparison for me because I would, regardless of the past morals, for me, it's about love. But also, one, my wife's pretty hot. Two, my wife does really well for herself in her business. And so it's now officially my job to look pretty for her. So, I mean, when you take those two things into account, I don't really have to have that either or debate.
Arm Candy Caleb on the program each and every weekday at 10 a.m. with me, Dave Hooker, the show represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney, banksandjones.com, as we broadcast live from the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln studio. Bank on it. Brought to you by Commercial Bank, member FDIC. I have never felt more confident in a bank on it. Lane Kiffin is at least PO'd that he didn't get the Auburn job. And or he still wants the Auburn job. Now, let me give you some background. Lane Kiffin, who I think a lot of you all know, I had a great relationship with. Lane Kiffin, I believe, firmly wanted the Auburn job at one point. Now, suddenly he went quiet. Didn't talk about it to anybody, not just me. And Hugh Freeze gets it. So I do some digging because I have sources other than just the main source. Sometimes I like to reach out, find other people. And I was told this, that Lane Kiffin wanted to stay in Oxford because of his kids growing up there, who I think one is in high school, one goes to Ole Miss. Shortly thereafter, we heard that Layla had moved back into town, either to be with her kids or get some of that Lane thing. So I ask you this, bank on it. Well, this is a done deal. We don't have to go here. But bank on it is this. Lane Kiffin wanted the Auburn job. That's the bank on it. But I ask you this next part, and that is bank on it. He still wants the Auburn job, and that is why he is doing what? Because from a PR standpoint, he is totally attacking Hugh Freeze. It started last week and it continues now. By the way, SEC Media Days today. It'll be LSU, Ole Miss, South Carolina, and Vanderbilt at the podium. Go, Caleb.
Yes, so Lane Kiffin, for no reason whatsoever, nobody was asking anything, but he went deep sea fishing over the weekend and was having trouble catching some fish and decided to take a video of himself not catching anything, not getting any big fish. And he decided, and I'll just show you, it's a 13-second clip. He decided that he was going to tag Hugh Freeze. See, it says Coach Hugh Freeze at Coach Hugh Freeze, and he just tweets this
Not
video out.
the kind of tapping that we're talking Hunter did.
Yeah. So basically, they didn't catch anything in that video. So one of two things is happening. One, he's either making fun of Coach Hugh Freeze because he's spending his own leisure time doing leisure stuff, or he's making a joke that Hugh Freeze can't secure any big commitments. And Lane Kiffin, straight up, can land any big fish. He's basically making a point of Hugh Freeze isn't landing any big fish right now. What do you think about that, Coach?
Let me tell you something about Lane. Lane plays recruiting like someone savvy plays dating. You know how you talk about how you never really want them?
Yep.
You know what I mean? You just you play it cool. You know, I mean, every woman that's ever liked me in my life, or girl or whatever, going back, it's because I acted like I didn't want them, even if I didn't. In some cases, I didn't. But that's the way he recruits. And I'll give you an example. So the coaches that I know on signing day, I always text and I say, "Man, I know it's a stressful day. I hope everything went out or worked out okay." And Lane at the time was at the University of, where was he? Florida, that South Florida school?
Florida Atlantic.
He's at Florida Atlantic. And he does this panning thing on his video and sends it to me. And it's him deep sea fishing on signing day. And was there a lovely co-ed there? Perhaps. Okay. Was there an open Coors Light? Perhaps. But the point is, he knew at Florida Atlantic, he was waiting for cast-offs from other schools, right?
Correct.
That's what you had to do. You're not going to go compete with Alabama to get a guy. So that's how he recruited. But by the same token, he didn't go above and beyond. I talked to somebody else who talked to Lane Kiffin on a national signing day, and he was just jogging, like in the morning, just jogging on national signing day. When even me as a reporter, it was like a 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. type of day. And and that's the way he does it. Ashley is a female. Ashley, do you like it when the guys play hard to get? We'll ask Ashley that, because that's the way Lane plays it. Be it for better or for worse, that's the way he plays it. I don't know of any other coach that plays it like that. Usually it's like, you hung the moon, you're amazing. And then you have some people like Nick Saban that are brutally honest. Like he told, you know the reason Jalen Hurd didn't go to Alabama?
Because he told him he was a defensive end, right?
He said, period, in discussion, you're a defensive end. It's not a debate. And it's over. So, by the way, Tyrone Hines is my first favorite defensive player. Thank you, Steve. He wore 47. So the simple fact is there's a couple different ways to play recruiting. Lane plays it in his own individual way. And Lane loves to fish. The deep sea fishing, you got to think about it. He's in South Florida right now instead of Oxford. So for those that think he wouldn't make the jump from Oxford to Alabama, and somebody just posted, by the way, that there's not a big difference between Ole Miss and Auburn. There is. There's a big difference. A couple of different reasons. From a recruiting perspective, there's more athletes in Alabama. Not a lot more, but more. More qualify because there's better high school academics in Alabama. I know that sounds hard to believe. Than Alabama, than Ole Miss. A lot of guys have to go JUCO in Ole Miss or Mississippi. So, Caleb, it is a significantly better job. I know some people don't really believe that, but it's a significantly better job. And I believe, this is what I believe, not anything Lane told me, not anything that any great source told me, but I believe he wanted the Auburn job and didn't get it, and then floated out there that I want to be close to my family in Oxford. That's what I believe.
The only reason I think you might be right. The only reason I've always hesitated is Auburn is not. It's still not on the blue blood level of like the Alabamas, the Georgias, even the Tennessees for that matter. But the expectations go way up, and it's a way crappier place to live. So when you throw all that together, I could see Lane Kiffin preferring Oxford.
Boy, I don't know. I think they're kind of similar outside of game day. I mean, I think game day you have the girls that wear all the nice dresses, and the guys all wear sport coats. You know what I mean? So it has like this unique feel. But are you telling me you would vacation in Oxford in July?
I love Oxford.
Do you? Okay.
I love that town. It's one of my favorite towns in the SEC. Yeah. So it's like
on game day or just anytime?
Just anytime. It's an amazing town. Athens is the only town I like more than Oxford, honestly, as an actual town. I mean, okay, Nashville, but Nashville's Nashville. Like, it's a city. But like, if you talk about the SEC towns, yeah, no, I absolutely love Oxford. It's a beautiful place to me.
Okay. And to give you an example, last I checked, and I checked just now, Auburn's athletic department budget's about 33% higher than Ole Miss. So Auburn's athletic department budget is $200 million, and Ole Miss is about 145. So there's a significant difference.
Okay, so basically Lane Kiffin, and I guess this will be our bank on it. Lane Kiffin's shots at Hugh Freeze are that he genuinely doesn't like Hugh Freeze for two reasons. Here's my bank on a take. Lane Kiffin doesn't like Hugh Freeze because, one, Hugh Freeze took his job at Auburn. And two, Lane Kiffin was the face of controversy and immorality while Hugh Freeze was faking his Christian pastor, like whatever feelings. And here he was, you know, getting hookers left and right.
Well, you could take out the Lane Kiffin part and put any coach in there.
Okay, I believe that, but I bet Lane Kiffin took it more personally because Lane Kiffin was treated as the loose morals coach publicly.
I bet a half dozen coaches to me referred to him as Pastor Freeze, and it was meant as a shot.
Oh, I believe that.
It was meant that he promotes this, but deep down he's not this. I mean, nobody gives a guy who's religious a hard time if he's clean, you know. But if you're a hypocrite, you're going to catch it, right?
Yeah, there's very few times I believe people who throw it in my face the way Hugh Freeze was doing, though. Tim Tebow is one of the few I believe. I mean, he's one of the genuine few I believe. And that's so rare. People that are that open, I know this is awful, Dave, but I usually think they're hiding something.
I usually do, but I give them the benefit of the doubt till I hear something different. I'd say you're like that, right?
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, but
I mean, I'm not willing to say Joe Osteen's a nut job, but he probably is.
He was hiding cash in his bathroom.
Okay,
there's like piles of cash behind his toilet.
Okay, but see, I didn't know that. I mean,
yeah.
I don't keep up with politics and all that stuff. Auburn should have played for the Natty in 2004. They would have given USC a run for their money with Ronnie Brown and Cadillac Williams. I clicked on the wrong one.
They would have beaten USC, but that's my hot take.
I wouldn't argue with that. Lane wants to come back to Knoxville. Do you think Lane ultimately wants to come back to Knoxville?
Oh, he would love to come back to Knoxville. He regrets leaving. He straight up regrets leaving. We know he regrets leaving, and I would 100% take him back if Josh Heupel left and I were in Knoxville. So, but that's just, I know a lot of people wouldn't.
I got no argue with that. Ashley, by the way, we asked Ashley to answer a question. What was Ashley's question? I can't remember.
The question for Ashley was, does she like guys who play hard to get?
Okay. They won't play hard to get a commercial bank. Member FDIC. They bring you bank on it. Commercial bank. Life made better.
Commercial Bank is your neighborhood bank. What makes us different from other banks? We understand that every customer has unique opportunities, challenges, and financial concerns. We don't expect you to fit into the same box as the next person or business. Whether it's purchasing a home, saving for your child's future, or planning for your next vacation, we're with you every step of the way to navigate life's big decisions. Commercial Bank. Life made better.
All right, let's get to it. Moving on. It is SEC Media Days live from Atlanta, Georgia. It is.
I want to address a quick comment. That's my favorite comment officially. Mm-hmm. Lane would crawl through glass naked to get back to Knoxville. Dylan, you're right. The question would be, why was he naked? Was there a co-ed naked? I'm sorry.
Ouch. We're going to get Tennessee's newest commitment up next. The show represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney, banksandjones.com, as we broadcast live from the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln studio. Give me 2 minutes, and we will tell you all about a young man that you need to know about, J.B. Shabazz. And I love that name. What can Mike Keith do with that name? I imagine some magical things. Stay tuned. 2 minutes with Caleb Calhoun. I'm Dave Hooker, off the hooks.
A beacon of hope in a world of high prices. Look to the skies, Knoxville. Super savings is here. Ted Russell Ford is East Tennessee's #1 volume Ford dealer. Employee pricing is here. You pay what we pay on all new Ford models. Come see the super dealer today at either Ted Russell Ford location, Parkside Drive, or Kingston Pike.
Sports Treasures in North Knoxville is one of the South's largest sports cards and memorabilia dealers, featuring over 10 million sports cards from vintage to modern. Sports Treasures carries a full line of hobby boxes, singles, autographed memorabilia, Tennessee Vol collectibles, fan cave decorations, and so much more. See a museum full of collectibles at Sports Treasures, 4819 North Broadway in Fountain City, and Sports Treasures on Facebook. Sports Treasures, where the real sports fan goes to shop.
Community banking is about location and much more. It's about family. We reside in your community. We are a part of your community. At Commercial Bank, our commitment extends beyond the walls of our branches. It's displayed each day in the opportunities we provide, the money we give back, and the time we commit, all to help improve the lives of the people, families, and businesses that make our communities great. Commercial Bank, life made better.
Now in its 45th year, the second and third generations continue Joe Newbert's commitment.
His vision of what this business needed to be, we still try to live up to that.
Joe Newbert Collision Center.
Hi, Mike Davis here with City Heating and Air, reminding you to always dare to compare. Our team provides quality local heating and air service, installation, and maintenance across East Tennessee. We use only the best equipment like American Standard heating and air conditioning for your residential, new construction, or commercial needs. Honesty, dependability, and customer satisfaction have been the cornerstones of our business since 1961. City Heat and Air.
There's your man.
Ginger Power, the Dave Hooker Show with Caleb Calhoun. Represented by T. Scott Jones, banksandjones.com, Tennessee's trial attorney. From the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln studio, East Tennessee's #1 volume and customer service dealer, Ted Russell Ford and TedRussellLincoln.net. Now to the Dave Hooker Show on Off the Hook Sports.
Question about proselytizing?
That's
according to our message board, and Mr. O'Neill, proselytizing is repeatedly attempting to convert people from one religion to another, usually in a very arrogant manner. Tim Tebow does this all the time. Okay, there's a couple issues with that. As a Christian, you are taught to witness once a day. So you're going against your own religion if you don't do it. Now, do I do it every day? No. Should I? Probably, yeah. But I understand that it's uncomfortable on my side and your side, and you only see so many people. So, I mean, at some point, what am I going to do? Witness to Caleb every single day? I mean, sometimes he's the only guy I see for 3 or 4 days. And I've never asked him his religious beliefs, and I don't know. I don't get into that. But technically, I guess I'm supposed to. The other thing is, Mr. O'Neill, with all due respect, and maybe this is a topic for another day, I will disagree with you. I don't think that Tim Tebow does that all the time. I think he wore the John 3:16 eyebrow thing, but I don't think he goes to, at least that I remember, he didn't go to every press conference to say, I want to begin this with that. I completed that pass to Bob out in the flats, thanks to Jesus Christ, my holy Savior. I didn't think it was over the top, but maybe that's because I'm Christian. Caleb, is this a topic for another day, or do you have something you want to close on?
Well,
It's part of who he is.
Okay, put it this way. For other people, I would call it over the top, but for Tebow, the reason I give him a break is I think he is actually genuine in this. I don't think he's fake.
Like if he gets busted once with a prostitute, like Hugh Freeze did, then suddenly it all flushes down the toilet, right?
All of it. Yeah, exactly. So, I totally agree. But yeah, if he
let's do this on Hugh Freeze Day. Are we doing Hugh Freeze Day at SEC Media Days?
Hugh Freeze Day's tomorrow.
Okay. Well, tomorrow I want to do that. Do you like proselytizing? I've never heard that. I hope it's not.
I mean, it is, to be fair, like it is, according to scripture and according to the Bible, like proselytizing is, basically, yes, you're technically supposed to witness, but you're not supposed to do it through coercion or kind of, you're encouraged. The concept is you spread it by example, not spread it by coercion. Does that make sense?
Right. But
like, you don't hold a gun to someone's head and be like, you better be Christian and you better tell all your kids to be Christian or I'm going to kill you. Like, you don't do that.
Right. But I don't know. It just doesn't bother me. I've had people, I still remember one time when I guess it was Church of Latter-day Saints. Maybe it would have been Jesse Mahalona before he passed away, rest his soul. But somebody knocked on my door and they were stunned. They said, do you know you're going to heaven? And I was just 19 years old. And I said, yes. And they said, how? Because I've accepted Jesus Christ as my savior. And they go, oh. And they look surprised. They're like, we haven't gotten the right answer in 5 weeks. I mean, it was almost like they had been doing this and they hadn't gotten the right. So, anyway, you're supposed to witness. So I understand the rub there. It rubs some people the wrong way. But if you come from it from the right perspective as a Christian, it's not I'm better than you. It's I'm a sinner just like you. And I've had moments in my life where I feel like God has been with me and protected. That to me is as far as it goes. It's not, you're not a good person because you're not a Christian. And if somebody does that, that would be, I can understand completely how that would be off-putting, Caleb.
I agree.
It's still been a whole nother segment.
And when it comes to SEC coaches, one segment we're not going to do, I would love to, but it would just be too defamatory and we probably get sued so I won't do it. But just so on a broad scale, yes or no, do you think there's an do you think there's an SEC coach who was on the Epstein list in the Epstein files? Was an SEC football coach in the Epstein files? That's what I want to know.
And you're reasonable that's the case, but it sounds like you know something I don't.
I know nothing. I'm just curious. I bet because we know a lot of people are probably in those files.
Yeah, but I don't think those dudes were of the social ilk to be of those.
They weren't connected enough. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to be borderline. You got to be a billionaire or borderline billionaire, or you had to have some sort of political power, like a politician. I mean, to me, that seems like a stretch. I don't know. And besides that, let's face it, you've got the co-eds there on your campus. If you wanted to get away from it, Lane could. I mean, you could.
Come on, guys, it's game time.
4 downs. Can you count? 4 downs. 1, 2, 3, 4. The Dave Hooker Show with Caleb Calhoun. Represented by T. Scott Jones. BanksandJones.com. Tennessee's trial attorney. From the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln Studio, East Tennessee's #1 volume and customer service dealer. Ted Russell Ford and TedRussellLincoln.net. Now to the Dave Hooker Show on Off the Hook Sports.
All right, here we go. Tennessee with a new commitment. 4-star North Carolina offensive linebacker, outside linebacker. I don't know what.
No, offensive lineman.
Yes. Excuse me. 4-star North Carolina offensive lineman J.B. Shabazz. What do you think of J.B. Shabazz? That's obviously a big pickup for Tennessee.
Yes, he is. He is the second highest rated offensive lineman in this class, which we'll get to. They have a good set of talent in this class, and this is a pickup from North Carolina. There's a lot of good things going on for Tennessee with this J.B. Shabazz pickup. He committed last Friday. I still say they need to add more highly touted talent and not just bodies, but he's more than a body, even though he's not
4-star guy, man. What are you looking for?
He's not universal 4-star. We will get to that during 4 downs, but he's not a universal 4-star.
Well, goodness gracious. I mean, somebody thinks he's a 4-star. That's pretty impressive. I think I gotta be honest with you.
Let's get to it in the downs. Let's get to it in the downs. I think don't snap the ball before it's spotted.
Okay. I just think you're okay. We'll get into it, but I think that your criteria are a little bit high, and I think they're high for a lot of coaches. I think there are times that Alabama probably took some 3-star guys that Nick Saban believed in, that recruiting coordinators didn't, that recruiting analysts didn't. But I think I'll take it a step further, and that is I think Josh Heupel wants some character guys, does not want the type of class that Tennessee got back in 2009-10, and wants to be able to grow culture. I don't think that's a Hugh Freeze BS line. So let's go ahead and get to it. Cooper Mays, what should we do, sir?
Cooper Mays here. Hit like and subscribe.
Do it now. We appreciate it.
Coop here. First down.
All right. First down is what, Caleb Calhoun?
First down is the way he committed. And I'm going to play this video for real quick. He committed on Friday, and he did a fake out. And we're going to ask fair or foul that he did this. So I'm going to share the screen, and we're going to watch this real quick. And you guys tell me what you think.
The squad be in for the next 3 to 4 years is... Ooh, what's that? Hold on now, hold on.
He's holding Ohio State hat.
What y'all think? What y'all think? What y'all think? Oh, yeah. Hold on. Come on, baby. Hold on. Nah, I'm playing.
So for those who did not see, who were listening, he basically picked up the Ohio State hat, put it down, picked up the Tennessee hat, put it down, picked up the Ohio State hat again, fake, put it on, and then put it down, and then picked up the Tennessee hat and put it on.
Okay, so do you have a problem with the guy doing this?
Yeah, I don't like it when recruits do this. I don't. And
Okay.
I'm
Well-
like, just commit.
Yeah, I guess I was more asking it rhetorically for myself. I know you have a problem with that. Here's why I have a problem with it is because I knew a lot of these college recruiters, and I don't have a problem if he called them and told them. I have a problem if he went into it without telling anybody, any of the guys that recruited him from Ohio State or Miami, because they put a lot of their time and effort in that, and their job and their families and their livelihood depends on this, Caleb. So it would be kind of like me calling you and saying, well, we're going to have a big show today. We're going to have, I don't know who would be, we're going to bring OJ Simpson back from the dead, and we're going to have him on the show. And then I tell you, no, we're not going to have OJ on today. You know, it just, to me, it's the job you do. You spend 40 plus hours a week building this thing and building this recruiting momentum. So if he called them and said, guys, I'm going to Tennessee, I just want to let you know, I got no problem with it. Here's the problem. All these coaches want to elevate themselves to head coaches. So what do they immediately do, Caleb, when a prospect calls them and says, I'm going to Tennessee?
They immediately just move on, right?
No, the recruiter will then call his local friendly recruiting analyst he's a source, and he'll call and say, the guy's going to Miami, but I just want to be honest with you. We didn't really like him that much. We've got these 3 other guys that we like more that happen to be my area. You see what I'm saying? They spin it and they promote themselves, and they give this recruiting analyst a little bit of news so that hopefully the recruiting analyst, if he comes across a 4-star that likes your school that you didn't know about, tips you off. You see the give and take there?
Yeah, but your livelihood, like you said, is determined on it. And think about it this way. What if, here's the way I look at it. You're playing for a AA ball club, okay? The manager comes and looks at you and another player and is like, one of you's about to get called up. Who's it going to be? oh, it's going to be. No, I'm just kidding. You're not getting called up. This guy's getting called up. That would be like a.
No, I agree. I agree. But I'm just saying that if you called the coaches and let them know so they knew not to even watch the press conference. I mean, I've known coaches sitting around a TV watching a press conference. That's total bullshit.
I just think there's a level of arrogance in doing stuff like that because you don't know how good you're going to be at the college level. Okay, because there are people who have done that. Do you remember Brandon Warren, Dave? Every Tennessee fan was upset about what he did. And
what did he do? I can't even remember.
He went on Hound Dogs and said that he was committing to Florida State. Remember the show Hound Dogs? Remember the show Hound Dogs?
The show Hound Dogs.
It was a Tennessee-centric show. He went on a Tennessee show to announce his commitment to Florida State because he wanted to troll Tennessee.
Let's be honest. Something exactly wasn't wired right with Brandon Warren.
Cooper Mays here. Second down.
All right. Second down is what, Caleb?
All right. Second down. He is as a quality guy. I'm not trying to be too low on him. He stands at 6'6", 315 pounds already. He's a fringe 4-star, meaning he's a 3-star on some and a 4-star on others, but he is a 4-star on 247 Sports Composite. And as an offensive lineman, that is still very valuable.
I think he's a monster get. I think he's a huge get. I think getting a 4-star out of North Carolina or the Atlanta area is bigger than getting a 4-star anywhere else in the nation.
You're jumping to fourth down. Save it, Dave.
Sorry. I think it's a big time get. Are you questioning his size? Is that what you're
questioning? No. I'm just, why was he a 3-star on 247? That's it. I'm nitpicking. But I mean, he's still a quality pickup.
I can answer that because 247's getting robbed of its recruiting analyst by on 3, which is what Shannon Terry does when he moves from Rivals 247, 473, going all the way back to Scout. That's what's happening. So the more accurate profiles and assessments are going to be on 3 moving forward. I'll take a break from 4 downs for 1 second because Mr. O'Neill says even after commitment, many times schools try and flip recruits. Commitments are soft verbals. Some instances, that's very true. So are women. Dylan says, to play devil's advocate, Dave, when I was being recruited, I had multiple coaches offer me and revoke offers because players came available. Coaches do the same thing as players during ceremonies. Dylan, I don't mean this to sound disrespectful, but this JB Shabazz, if he's not this type of prospect, he's pretty close, Caleb, to a guy who can go anywhere he wants.
Yes.
Like, Brandon Warren could go anywhere he wants.
Well, and what Dylan's referring to, the equivalent of that would be if the coach offers and then rescinds it. That would be like if a player recruits and then commits and then flips his commitment. I'm not knocking that. But imagine, Dylan, if a coach came to you and said, hey, am I offering you or not? All right, I'm offering you. Just kidding. I'm not offering you. Like, if just did it like as a joke. Like, that's why I don't like those type of things. I think also just be careful what you wish for. You might have to play Ohio State one day. That's why you don't.
Yeah, but see what you're just saying, I think happens in a weird sort of way. I don't think it's playful. I don't think a coach playfully says, hey, I'm going to offer you, but no, I'm not. I think
no one does that.
I think it's more along the lines of, I got to give you some bad news. You don't have an offer anymore because JB Shabazz. You're a 3-star prospect from Alcoa High School. Picking one randomly. You don't have an offer anymore because we just filled the offensive line spot with JB Shabazz.
Right. But I'm saying the analogy would be if a coach did do that. I'm just kidding, because that's what these players are doing. They're like, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to that school. That's what I'm saying.
Tennessee center Cooper Mays here. Third down.
What's third down? Brought to you by Ted Russell Ford and TedRussellLincoln.net.
Third down, he is Tennessee's 3rd offensive line commitment for 2026. Gabriel Osinda is the 4-star fringe 5-star. He's 5-star on 247 Sports, actually. Offensive lineman, the big star, but he is the 2nd highest rated recruit. Tennessee, obviously, this will be the first year that they start an offensive lineman that Josh Heupel actually signed out of high school. But it looks like they're getting a little more. One of the reasons they haven't started one, Davis, for a while, just out of depth and desperation, they took a bunch of bodies Josh Heupel's first 3 years. I think they're starting to get a little more selective about the offensive linemen they sign, which is a good sign for Tennessee.
I think it is a good sign for Tennessee. I think Tennessee's recruiting is going fine. I wouldn't say it's tremendous. We would have said it was tremendous with Nico, right?
Correct.
And in some ways, I look back in retrospect, and I'm not so sure it was. I think Nico made it tremendous, but he wasn't going out and recruiting other young men. So I think we got a little bit too optimistic about the Nico recruitment. And when I talk about Nico recruitment, I'm not talking about him specifically, Caleb, if that makes sense. I'm talking about just in general. Everybody thought, oh, Tennessee's recruiting at such a high level, NIL, they're going to win everything. And then this just means championships. No, it doesn't.
No, I totally agree. I totally agree. So yeah, but in general, like, I think that is getting better now because we're seeing that with the guys, they're specific. Yes, sometimes they're still going for bodies, but at certain positions, they're still going for they're targeting specific guys. And Nico was more of a carry a class with him type of guy, whereas now they're a little more meticulous.
Adam says, I really hope it's that straightforward now, Dave. Adam, unfortunately, it's not. I'm not recruiting and saying I'm not going to take you because we got somebody else. They're probably going to string them along like they did. Who was the guy that went to Kentucky that was at Alcoa?
Oh, Randall Cobb.
Yeah, strung him along forever. Didn't offer him, and then eventually he was like, well, go bleep off. And then when they did offer him, Trooper Taylor goes to Oklahoma State, and they couldn't get him. That was totally mishandled. So it's not that straightforward, Adam. I wish it was too. You say, quote, there's nothing dirtier than lying and wasting a young kid's time. But I'm telling you, that's exactly what they do because there's too much money on it. Here's the problem. I'm going to go ahead and tell you the problem in exactly 30 seconds. 4 Downs brought to you by TedRussellFord.net, TedRussellLincoln.net. And I want to tell you, East Tennessee's largest volume dealer. They have the vehicle you want, whether it's used, pre-owned, or brand new, right on the lot. You're going to love your vehicle at Ted Russell Ford and Ted Russell Lincoln on Parkside Drive and on Kingston Pike.
A beacon of hope in a world of high prices. Look to the skies, Knoxville. Super Savings is here. Ted Russell Ford is East Tennessee's #1 Volume 4 dealer. Employee pricing is here. You pay what we pay on all new Ford models. Come see the super dealer today at either Ted Russell Ford location, Parkside Drive, or Kingston Pike.
Here's the problem. It's not going to be, well, it's still going to be the recruiters are going to lie to prospects. That's just part of life. But here's the bigger problem is you're going to have agents get involved with a 16, 17-year-old's life. And Caleb, you're going to have agents that are going to take advantage of prospects.
Yes.
They're going to be in a better position to take care of prospects. Yeah, it's
Right.
kind of like the different you score in the post. You'd rather be Kevin McHale than Dennis Johnson. That's his soul. I want dead people.
Right.
All right, here we go. Let's get to
Fourth down.
Fourth down. What we got?
All SEC center Cooper Mays here. 4th down.
Another North Carolina prospect, second following Faison Brandon, and Tennessee is loaded up, is getting better. It's crucial for Tennessee to still get into the North Carolina market with Bill Belichick there.
I'm not worried about Belichick.
Really?
No, not really. I mean, to me, that sounds a little bit like a gimmick. It sounds like he picks up third string guys that will say to themselves, deep down, don't tell anybody, but I couldn't get an offer from Georgia or Tennessee or even Florida or Alabama or, these big schools. So I can stay in state and I'm a 3-star guy and I can play for Bill Belichick and he's won 18,000 Super Bowl. I mean, to me, it's a gimmick. I don't see him ever winning. One of the two things. I don't see him ever winning the championship. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay. And I don't see him ever consistently winning 8 games. I think he'll have one up season and then he'll call it a career.
Interesting. That's interesting to think about.
Do you know, I'm curious. I don't think we've ever talked about Bill Belichick. Where do you stand on that?
I think Bill Belichick, I can't really judge until I see his recruiting class next year because I think Bill Belichick's name will help him recruit. But Bill Belichick, I mean, he's not going to have the talent to win at a high level. And Bill Belichick's going to run a pro-style offense. And as I talked about at the start of the show, when you run a pro-style standard offense, you've got to a big part of that is making sure you have the right talent, and he's not going to have the players, but he is in the ACC, so he could build a profile in the ACC.
General Ursus says Randall is the one that got away, but he made the right choice, and he had a good career at Kentucky and had a Hall of Fame career in the NFL. That young man, through covering him, would have had a well, he's not a Hall of Famer, but he would have had a great NFL career had he gone to the Iowa, the Ottawa Rough Riders. That was just a great young man.
I totally agree.
He was going to survive. I mean, I covered him closely. He took the non-Tennessee thing in stride. He never got angry. He was mature beyond his years. That guy was a guy to invest in at 16, 17 years old. I don't care if you're talking about football, business, or life. So, no, I don't know that it was necessarily the right decision to go to Kentucky unless it was just about early playing time. He did get early playing time, but he would have been a part of the rotation by a sophomore at Tennessee.
Yeah, but he also made it to the NFL and became one of Aaron Rodgers' favorite receivers and Aaron Rodgers' best friend. So I don't think Randall Cobb's regretting anything.
No. I'm not saying that. But it would have worked out for Randall Cobb in the NFL someplace else.
No, yeah, I agree. Totally agree with you on that.
Yep. All right. Give us an update on the poll question brought to you by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney, banksandjones.com. What do you got?
It's still, who would you rather hire, Steve Sarkisian, Josh Heupel? We got Josh Heupel at 78%.
We should have expected that, right?
I'm actually surprised it's that low. So,
Stat of the day. They never lie. Or do they? Stat of the day. The Dave Hooker Show with Caleb Calhoun. Off the Hook Sports.
Stat of the day, what Tennessee punter bagged the most co-eds?
Oh my
God. I'm not doing that. Good. Okay, so by the way, I saw. Okay, go ahead. I'm really sidetracked. Just give us stat of the day.
It's baseball stat at the MLB draft. Tennessee led all schools with 8 players selected in the opening 3 rounds, and 4 first rounders: Liam Doy, Gavin Keelan, Andrew Fisher, and Marcus Phillips. That is both of them are program records.
The draft's still going on, right? Doesn't it go on for 4 days?
Yeah, it's like 50 rounds.
Okay, so we've got 2 things we want to tackle tomorrow. One was what?
Hugh Freeze.
Yeah. Do you like him pastoralizing? I don't even know what that means. It sounds like you're giving milk.
Proselytizing is what it is.
Okay. Not pasteurizing?
No, proselytizing.
Okay. So the other thing I want to get into is what sport helps Tennessee the most? What will help Tennessee the most? It's got to be men's basketball. But would it then be women's basketball? Would it be baseball? Would it be, I don't know, softball, if you want to put a real long shot in there? Because if you look at Tennessee baseball and the amount of pub it's bringing to the university is pretty tremendous, isn't it?
It is. I'd still lean women's basketball.
I mean, I don't know, man. I listen to a lot of national talk shows, like at weird times of night and stuff like that. It just seems like Tennessee is always coming up.
I think that has a lot to do with the baseball success recently, but I think once women's basketball gets more successful, we'll see a different story with them Caldwell.
Okay, so Ashley had this question. You gonna read it?
Will his name alone do it? Seems like he got a lot of bad PR with his girlfriend scandal that made him. Yeah, I agree actually with Belichick. That's a good question too. But I think you're right. I don't think Belichick looks like the guy in control of things anymore the way he does. That was so cringe, that interview. That totally agree.
I haven't seen the interview. What did he do?
Oh, it's just his girl. Oh, you haven't seen it?
No.
Oh, basically his girlfriend was not nixing questions that were being asked during the 60 Minutes interview, like live when it was happening. She's like, we're not talking about that.
Who remembers? Who's old enough to remember the Mike Tyson? Was it Robin Givens interview? He did the same thing. She was like, we're not going to answer that. Mike Tyson. It looked like he had been shot with a tranquilizer gun.
That's what it looked like with Belichick.
Ouch. You just sit there and shut up for that? No way it's worth that. I mean, come on. Maybe Ashley, maybe you. All right. So here we go. Stay tuned. Coming up, we've got an interesting situation
with a former Tennessee coach who's getting sued for big time cash. And we're kind of wondering if he's running out of money. The show represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney, banksandjones.com. We broadcast live from the Ted Russell Ford, Ted Russell Lincoln studios in 2 minutes off the Hook Sports.
It's a new year, a new day, and Ted Russell Lincoln has an exciting new offer to share. Right now, get a 2024 Lincoln Navigator with 0% APR for 72 months and up to $4,000 in bonus cash. Or drive away in a new 2024 Lincoln Corsair Grand Touring with 0% APR for 60 months and up to $4,500 in bonus cash. It's time to get excited about the ride. Come and see what a luxury car experience truly is at Ted Russell Lincoln Knoxville.
Hello, ma'am. I'm here to look at that plumbing problem. Oh boy. Yep, you're gonna need a whole new sink. If this toilet is no good, you're gonna need a new one ASAP. You are not gonna believe this. You're all out of milk. Have you heard about our service plan?
I need to call Scott's.
Scott's Plumbing, your trusted neighborhood plumber since 1977.
Having been in the jewelry industry for a long time in the Knoxville community, I saw a need for a jeweler, a real jeweler.
Our ability to do these designs has really been based on the customers bringing new things in and challenging us as a store. Our goal is not to tell anybody what they want. Our goal is to listen to what they want and then help them get there.
Schedule your consultation today to get your special someone the perfect custom gift just in time for the holidays.
Sports Treasures in North Knoxville is one of the South's largest sports cards and memorabilia dealers, featuring over 10 million sports cards from vintage to modern. Sports Treasures carries a full line of hobby boxes, singles, autographed memorabilia, Tennessee Vol collectibles, fan cave decorations, and so much more. See a museum full of collectibles at Sports Treasures, 4819 North Broadway in Fountain City, and Sports Treasures on Facebook. Sports Treasures, where the real sports fan goes to shop.
And here we go.
I guess it was a huge waste of time, like bringing a married guy to Vegas.
Then there's this guy, the Dave Hooker Show with Caleb Calhoun. Represented by T. Scott Jones, banksandjones.com, Tennessee's trial attorney. From the Ted Russell Ford Lincoln Studio, East Tennessee's #1 volume and customer service dealer, Ted Russell Ford and TedRussellLincoln.net. Now to the Dave Hooker Show on Off the Hook Sports.
I couldn't find the right button. Sorry. Welcome back to the program. The show represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney, banksandjones.com. Tell me you didn't even notice the dead air. Huh?
I noticed that you were having trouble hitting the right button.
Thanks. What's to say? Oh, Dave, you're doing a fantastic job. All right. Dylan says something weird for tomorrow if you guys want. Greg McElroy just said Saban is about to return to coaching per on 3. Got confirmation of that. Caleb, I'm going to call an audible here, if you don't mind. As much as I like talking about Ed Orgeron and the fact that he is probably has more girlfriends than there are bikinis in Destin, Florida, where he's currently living. As much as I would love to do that, I want to get to something else, and that's going to be What the H? And it's brought to you by Rick Terry and Rick Terry Jewelry Design. So here is what we have. SEC Media Days, Day 1. Greg McElroy, a former Alabama quarterback and current ESPN analyst, recently suggested that Nick Saban might not be done coaching, sparking speculation about a potential return to the sidelines. McElroy cited an in-the-know college football personality who believes Saban could return, although he didn't name the source. The speculation was met with some skepticism, notably from Paul Feinbaum, who firmly dismissed the idea during an appearance on McElroy's show. Now, McElroy claimed this. It doesn't make a lot of sense. It's out of left field. I want to say this, and Greg, we can talk about it personally if you like.
I think you say a lot of things to get attention. I think you're off base on a lot of things. And I never take shots at other media. On the outfield, buddy. So I don't put a lot of stock in this. But do you put any stock in that? It'll be What the H, brought to you by Rick Terry Jewelry Design. I'd like to make that a poll question, but first let me get your take, Caleb. Could you see Nick Saban returning to coaching?
Yes. And it's because yes, and here's why. It's because of something we talked about. You ready for this?
Yes.
Nick Saban and Bill Belichick have a pretty good friendship, right? But they're competitive, right?
Yes.
To this point,
coached together at the Cleveland Browns. The best coaching staff probably in the history of man that won at the most, I think, 9 games. Go ahead.
Yes, but the fact that those Browns teams won 9 games, if you look at how they were structured, was beyond impressive.
Right. Not arguing that.
So Saban, let's point this out. They had a decent thing. Belichick was the Super Bowl winning coach. Saban was the college football national championship winning coach. But if Belichick goes and has success in college, I think Saban wants to scratch that itch again to see if he has success in the NFL. Let's not forget this, guys. Everybody forgets this. One of the laziest narratives that's out there, Dave, that people say now, I mean, it's one of the dumbest narratives that people say is, well, Saban flamed out in the NFL and didn't have success. No, did not happen. Nick Saban, if you guys don't remember, Nick Saban actually went 9-7 his first year with the Dolphins. Okay. And that was not a good team. He then wanted to sign Drew Brees in the offseason, and the Dolphins spurned him, rejected it because he didn't pass a physical. The next year, loaded with injuries, the Dolphins go 6-10. But Dave, if Nick Saban has his way, he's got a 9-7 team, and he goes and signs Drew Brees. We're talking about Nick Saban, the 3-time Super Bowl winning head coach at that point.
Don't you love how we talk about guys go from college athletes to professional athletes, and suddenly they've gained the maturity of Methuselah?
Yeah.
They're not suddenly at 24 years old, the most mature people in the world. Case in point, I happened to be over the weekend. I'm watching an interview with Ricky Gibson, and no, I didn't get stoned just to watch it. But not Ricky Gibson, Ricky Williams.
You're already stoned, apparently. I'm kidding.
Right, the former running back who played for Nick Saban as a Dolphin, and who played for Mike Ditka as a Saint, and who probably would have had a better career had he not gone and played for Mike Ditka. But anyway, he said the first day of preseason camp that Saban said, how are you all going to handle this? You can't get through the first day of preseason. It's South Florida. It's hotter than darn it. He said, how are you going to get through this first day in preseason camp? You all aren't ready. What's wrong with you? Bleep, bitty, bleep, bitty, bleep, bitty, bleep. And they're all like, who's this college coach? And then he says at the end of his, and he hadn't even talked to the team before practice. This is all after practice. This is literally their first introduction. He says to them, hey, listen, I've got this new thing. It's called the Tiger Board. And if you get on the Tiger Board, then it means you've had a great day at practice. Now, how do you think professional athletes responded to that? Because the Tiger Board came from where?
LSU, probably. Yep.
Okay. So where do you think most professional athletes stood on that?
Oh, they probably thought this was ridiculous, right?
Harry high school stupid stuff. And what happened by the end of the year, Ricky Williams said, in every game, they all ran and checked to see who could get on the Tiger Board. The same sort of motivation will work. Now, Tom Brady, 38 years old, or however he was, 40 years old, is he going to get fired up about the Tiger Board? No, but he's not going to talk trash about the Tiger Board. He's going to let it motivate other players, right? And he's probably going to be on the Tiger Board more times than not.
And it's funny you say that, because that speaks to Saban process oriented. For those who don't know, Saban said where this whole trust the process thing, where he learned about it, was the 2003 LSU team. He said that team, when they won the national title, he said that's the first team I ever coached that every goal they set for themselves had nothing to do with how many games they were going to win or whether or not they were going to win the division. It was like, let's do this or that or this. And that led to them winning the division.
So what the H, could Nick Saban return to coaching as per Greg McElroy?
Having been in the jewelry industry for a long time in the Knoxville community, I saw a need for a jeweler, a real jeweler.
Our ability to do these designs has really been based on the customers bringing new things in and challenging us as a store. Our goal is not to tell anybody what they want. Our goal is to listen to what they want and then help them get there.
Schedule your consultation today to get your special someone the perfect custom gift just in time for the holidays.
So I don't think this is a big what the H. I think that certainly it's surprising. It comes out of left field, but I could see Nick Saban returning to coaching. I think that's a realistic possibility. He is awfully young for his age. I could see him getting bored really quickly. It wouldn't stun me at all if Nick Saban returned to coaching. Slightly surprising maybe that it's even come about as I thought he was done, but a lot of coaches don't walk away, and the coaches that do usually don't have an option. Look at the all-time greats. Paul Bear Bryant was on the verge of death. Woody Hayes punched a guy in the face on the sideline, a player. I mean,
Joe Paterno covered up for a mass pedophilia like the Jeffrey Epstein of college.
I mean, other coaches lost too many games. It was more simple. Most coaches don't have the option. I mean, just the fact that he has the option to return, I think, opens up the door. And Caleb kind of stole my thunder a little bit. He brings the NFL in it. And when you bring the NFL in it, yeah, I think that's a realistic possibility. Now, let's remember this. Nick Saban's 73 years old. So he would have to have, I would think, pretty strict 5-year plan. I mean, you can't let this drag on and you're in 2030 and you're knocking on the door of an NFL championship, a Super Bowl championship, and you're like, oh, I just need this player, that player. I mean, you've got to have an idea that in 5 years, I'm either going to win, or 3 years or 4 years or whatever it is, I'm either going to win this thing or I'm not. Right? I mean,
I agree.
It's not like just hiring somebody that's 60.
Yes, no, I totally agree. It's like a 5-year program. They probably want a 5-year run, but look, if you guys know the NFL, you can have a lot of success in 5 years. So
okay. Let me ask you this. Take out the Cowboys, and the reason I'm taking out the Cowboys is because I think the front office manhandles too much. Okay, and I'm sure there are other teams like that, other franchises like that. I just don't know. Take out the Browns, who are a bunch of goofballs. Take out those bottom dweller run programs, franchises, no matter how many games they've won. I know, the Cowboys made the playoffs last year or 2 of the last 3 years, whatever. But the bottom line is you're not going to win a Super Bowl there. I think you and I can both agree with that, and I'm a Cowboys fan. You take those programs out. You take those franchises out. I think Nick Saban at most franchises could win a Super Bowl in 5 years.
Yeah, easily. The NFL is such a year-to-year league. It's very easy to turn a team around in the NFL. It's not like other sports. Basketball, you have to kind of luck into like a generational talented player, right? Either through like he wants to go play for you or you draft him. That's basketball. Baseball is more organizational than anything, right? You have to have a good farm system. You develop players up, things like that. Football, it is year to year. You can immediately turn a team around very, very quickly.
Here's the other thing to remember. Is this Nick Saban's newest goal? Did you know he's on the verge of becoming the first ever coach that's a billionaire?
I did not, actually.
Yeah. He's parlayed his name into Mercedes dealerships, into other investments. He was really big in that Madoff thing. No, I'm kidding. But he's made a bunch of savvy decisions. So did he replace winning championships with being a billionaire and being uber successful in business? If he did, Caleb, then maybe that scratches the itch. But I don't know that I think Nick Saban's on his deathbed one day and he's still got the itch to compete and succeed. I don't think that goes away.
No, I agree. That competitive edge, and Saban has it. Very few people have it, where he fights human nature, if that makes sense. He basically human nature is you reward yourself once you've reached a goal. Saban's like, I don't have goals. I want more. Like, he doesn't. What was it they said in Waterboy? The only thing better than a crawfish dinner is 5 crawfish dinners. Saban's like, I get a ring. All I think about is how to get another one.
All right, give me a poll question if you can.
I already got it up. It's do you think could you see Nick Saban return to coaching? 65% say yes.
Okay, let's take it a step further. Could you see him returning to college coaching?
All right. Here, I'll set it this way. Could you see Nick Saban returning to coaching? Nick Saban returning to coaching. Yes. Yes, but not at the college level.
Now,
or no.
Neil says something. Saban is very traditional. There are a lot of new changes ever since he retired that he would need to adapt to. That's why I'm ruling out college. I don't think he wants to be a part of that stuff.
That's why he left.
Yeah, I think he either wants it to be all business, where you shake your hand. Hey, Mr. Drew Brees, we want to take you. We're going to take you. Oops, you didn't pass the physical. Not, can I get my dealership to give you an extra $50,000? That's the other thing is, could he get his dealership to give somebody $50,000 in NIL money?
Probably.
You ever thought about that?
Yeah.
You got Ty Simpson in a brand new quarterback, or sorry, a brand new Mercedes.
I mean, he definitely could. I mean, but so it would kind of depend on where. He wouldn't go to Alabama though. He doesn't want to fight those boosters anymore.
Right. I'm just throwing it out there. I mean, you could go wherever. He might have a dealership outside of Alabama by now. I don't know, but interesting. Let's get a quick read on the poll. I will just tell you that I could see him going to the NFL. I could not see him going to college once again. Yeah,
50%. So could you see Nick Saban returning to coaching? 33% say yes. 50% say yes, but not at the college level. 17% say no.
The show represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney, banksandjones.com. We broadcast live from the Ted Russell Ford, Ted Russell Lincoln Studios. Go to tedrussellford.net, tedrusselllincoln.net. Customer service is through the roof. When you drive off that lot, you'll be so happy with the vehicle you chose. For Caleb Calhoun, I'm Dave Hooker. This has been a presentation of Off the Hook Sports.